Okay, let's do it.
Hey y'all, it's Trent Knox with the Trent Knox Show, and today I'm joined by Jeremy Calcote. We're going to talk about the entertainment industry, acting, and how he got into the business. Want to say what's up, Jeremy?
Hi guys, I'm Jeremy. It's nice to meet everyone.
Hey, if you could give the listeners, my small group of people who listen to this, like a background story on who you are, where you're from, and whatnot.
Sure. So I'm from Colorado Springs, Colorado. I grew up in kind of like a military family, so kind of from all over, but this is where I spend most of my time. Got in the entertainment industry about 3 years ago. Never expected to be there, but that's where I found myself. I am represented as an actor at Donna Baldwin Talent Agency here in Denver, and looking for representation elsewhere in the country so I can move that career forward.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. I was at South by Southwest. We were talking about how I was there. I was talking with you, and I had ran into a voice actor, and actually I recommended him to talk to Steve Austin about his actor's voice workshops and whatnot. And aren't you and Steve Austin at Donna Baldwin? Aren't you guys both with her?
That's correct. Yeah. Steve actually helped me get set up with that. He's a great coach. If you're looking for acting or voice acting experience, he's really the way to go, especially if you're in the Colorado Springs area. But I know that he does voice acting remote too, I'm pretty sure. So
he does? I didn't even know that.
I think so. I think he does a lot of that, the voice acting stuff remote.
Gotcha. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, and this is the first time we're having Jeremy on. Jeremy and I met at the Roaring Success Actors Workshop, which is hosted by in Colorado Springs. I mean, taught maybe. I don't know what the proper terminology is, but is hosted in what I would say by Steve Austin. He's been in the industry for a long time. He's also a Navy veteran or Air Force veteran.
Air Force veteran.
Yeah. And it's a military town, so if you've been around that, it's a different type of vibe, very structured and family oriented, and so like that's the type of thing that you get from Steve Austin's class. But what was some of your favorite things that you got from that? I know you probably stopped by, but you're probably busy now since you're now doing more work.
Yep. So one of the best things about Steve's class is just like his intro into acting. I had never had any acting lessons before that, and he makes the environment really comfortable without being like that kind of like too comfortable where they're just telling you, hey, good job on everything. Yeah. He gives you great direction. He knows all the technical aspects of acting and really knows how to like help you develop a character and how to turn to the camera, how to clearly speak to the camera. I learned teleprompter, ear prompter, a little voice acting from him, and he's an all-arounder. He knows everything. It's great.
Yeah, that was one of the cool things. And also like I'm not sure if I actually said this, me and Jeremy met through that workshop because I was doing volunteer videography work and kind of just getting a documentation of Steve Austin's class and the actor's voice and Roaring Success there. And you came in, I think, into the class. I went there the first time in I think 2015 of July, and then the year after that in 2016, right? You joined the class. I had left for a little bit. I had went and did some other work in music and with kids and stuff in a music studio, and then I went back after because I really wanted to do videography again. So I went back, and honestly, at that time, I didn't know how to fit into the thing, but what I know now, definitely, I wish I had done then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I feel you.
But actually, it was in Steve Austin's class that I kind of got the concept of doing podcasts and live streams and whatnot. I wanted to live stream all of his like courses or classes and whatnot, but he didn't want to put all of the classes online, kind of so that people come and still get value out of coming to the class. But one of the first things I wanted to talk to you about on this list of subjects that I got is networking, and I feel like the in-class actors workshops build a stronger connection between the actors because it's in person. How do you feel? Do you think that there is like maybe like an online actors workshops that are going to be valuable, or is it still going to be more valuable to go into a class?
I think that there's definitely room in the industry for more online content like that, because there really aren't so many online resources for that. I mean, you got Masterclass, and then there's some YouTube guys that do it, but really, at the end of the day, you're going to have to go to class. I think that having that one-on-one with a coach who can watch you on and off camera is super important. And that's actually one of the great things about Steve's class that I should have mentioned up front is you were the impetus for Steve putting everybody on camera. So whenever you go to class and you have a monologue or you have a scene or whatever you're doing, you're always going to be on camera. So you can see how you look. Your coach can see how you look off camera and then also review you on camera, which is super important if you're going to be an on-camera actor. So I think it's definitely going to still be one of those things where you have to go to a classroom and interact with people. And it's really hard to do a 2-person scene virtually.
Yeah,
you know? So
it, I feel like the actors, workshops, something like what are they called, whenever you go and you do a scene? What was it called?
The scene work?
No, you guys learn a scene and then you go and perform it. What's that called?
You mean just right there on the spot?
No, you went to Denver and you did it with other people. Oh man, I can't remember. The showcase.
The showcases.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the showcases.
So you don't get that opportunity if you're not so much offline. But
right.
Where was I going with this? That you like there's a learning curve is what I was gonna get to is like for me. I had never gone to anything like that. I had taken some acting in front of the camera courses in college, but that was vastly different than what Steve was putting together, and he really got more personal. I felt like than any other acting theater coach that I've ever worked with. You know what I mean? And really worked with you and gave more camera opportunity than I've ever experienced with anyone else either.
No, I agree. Yeah, it was super nice to have that opportunity.
That's honestly, a learning curve though. The thing is like, wow.
It's incredible. When I got into acting, I expected to do it as a hobby. I didn't really expect to enjoy it as much as I do. And there's a really steep learning curve. I thought it was just go in and you play pretend. I'd done a little bit of like stage acting before this, and I thought it was going to be the same. And I thought the people were going to be the same. It was going to be like, those like high school theater kids. And but everyone in the class was really serious about acting, and Steve was really serious about making sure that people were professional on camera.
Yeah.
And that it was a steep learning curve, especially for someone who'd never been on camera, who'd never done, like I'd barely done any acting before that. So it was, it was an experience.
Yeah, no, I was just listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, and he has these two comedians on right now, old school comedians. Lenny is his name, and he was talking about he went to acting classes when he first got into Los Angeles, and it was about like pretend you're a tree, pretend you're an ant or something like that. But that's just not the type of stuff that Steve has got going on. He's like giving you hardcore like monologues and old school ads to do and getting you right in front of the camera, showing you how you're interacting with the camera, looking through the lens or whatever it may be, or how your character's being portrayed. But so you went to actors workshops. That was kind of your introduction into getting into the industry. But after that, what did you learn to take the next step to get into the industry, into the entertainment industry, like full-fledged?
Well, after I got into class, I just had the friend that got me into Steve's class really pushed me into my first round of auditions, like doing independent stuff at like community colleges and finding independent gigs around the Colorado area. And that kind of like gave me the impetus to actually start going to auditions and whatnot. And then after my first year, I submitted to a couple agencies in New Mexico, because that was, there's lots of stuff going on down there in Albuquerque right now. Netflix and Amazon, I believe, are both bought studios down there. So I thought, hey, that's where I really need to go to be professional. And I got an agent first round try, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. Unfortunately, that agency didn't end up working out for me, and I only went to like a couple auditions with them. And this last year was just kind of bare bones kind of work, but this year has been a lot more interesting. Now I'm with Donna Baldwin Talent in Denver, and they've been throwing me just auditions as soon as they come up, and it's been great. I booked a gig with them. I got a gig coming up on Thursday, and then I got an audition on Wednesday. So that's really been my intro into the professional entertainment business. Is like the best thing you can do is get an agent. It's so hard to find any kind of paid work on your own. I managed to do that a couple times in like my first year or two. I found a couple paid gigs that were just independent things that people post on Facebook, and like I did one for a church, and then I did one for like an auto clinic down here, just like a mechanic shop. So I mean, it was fun. I was getting paid to do something that I loved.
Yeah, that's awesome. What kind of other opportunities got you to network into something like that? You said you had a friend. Have you gone to any like conventions, or have you done any other meetups or something like that?
Yeah, I go to events all the time. If there's an event where there's going to be actors and film people, I try and go as often as possible. There's one here called the Peak Film Forum that's run by a man named Ralph Giordano, and he's just a local guy who loves film and loves making films and loves actors, and he set up this little I know he's not the original creator, but he's the one that keeps it going. He's got this little community of filmmakers and actors in Colorado Springs, and we meet once a month, and just to kind of touch base and see what's going on in the community. They show short films all the time. It's just a great place for people to go and interact and meet others and grow their skills, show their work. And then other than that, like I try and go to as many conferences as I can. I go to find meetups, film industry in Denver meetups whenever I can, and then the New Mexico Film Conference was the last big thing that I went to. It was in November, I think. So that was pretty interesting. They had a bunch of like LA casting directors and New Mexico casting directors and talent agents, and lots of good information.
Yeah, so one of the things that kind of sets you aside from a lot of other actors is that, and is probably one of the highlighted things on your acting resume, is that you're into MMA and whipping training. So talk about that. How does that add to your acting resume?
So far hasn't really done much.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, like no one in like the independent community, at least here in like Colorado, is making like action-y type stuff. I know it's a big thing in some places. Like I know a lot of like California YouTube groups make like action short films, and that's really fun. I'd love to get more into that. It is interesting though how often I get asked to do like play like bad guys who like use a knife or use a gun. I have done some fight choreography for like a couple independent films, which has been really cool. And yeah, I'd love to put my martial arts experience into more. I'd love to use it more in the film industry and kind of become that action star. But
off the record though, or not off the record, off the script, wasn't one of your friends, he had like not one of your friends, one of the other guys in the actors workshop, didn't they have like a Nerf gun thing that they were doing? Or I don't know, maybe I thought there was some sort of there was like a skit based video production company that was doing Nerf gun and stuff in Colorado Springs. I didn't wonder if you would even if you'd heard anything about that, but I don't know.
I haven't heard anything about that. It sounds like fun.
Yeah, it sounded fun. It was like something I heard during class, but I don't remember much about who or what was doing it. But you actually started doing work with what was the guy, other videographer's name that was in there? Tyler. And did he help you get to the first paid gig, or how'd that work?
Tyler really got me hooked up in the film community. He's one of those guys that just knows everybody, and he's always like looking to put groups together to do fun stuff. Without Tyler, I probably wouldn't be as involved as I am, because it's nerve-wracking getting into something like this, because when I got in, everybody already knew how to act, everybody already knew the videography, everybody knew everything there is to know about film, and I knew nothing.
Right.
But Tyler really helped me by introducing me to a bunch of different people, and I made a whole bunch of new friends because of that, who were willing to take the time to show me some stuff. And Tyler is a really good actor and a really good videographer, and just learning from him has been super helpful. That you could, there's a lot of things you can only learn in class, but there's some things you can only learn when you're out actually doing the work. And
Right.
Tyler was really instrumental in helping me learn some of that.
Yeah, that's super cool. And then, so what was your first paid gig? What was that first acting role that you got paid for?
So my first paid gig was a Thanksgiving like promo video for a church. It was
cool.
It was called 1,000 at the Table. It's for a church in Denver, and one of the people that Tyler introduced me to actually was a producer, and he was hired by that church to produce this video. And he's like, I have this perfect role for you. Would you want to come up? And it paid like a couple $100 or something.
Yeah.
But it was, and it was like just one night. It was one night of shooting, and I got to sit down and have a free Thanksgiving meal with a whole bunch of other people I didn't know.
Awesome.
And promote this really great thing they do at this church, where they just invite people from all over to come have Thanksgiving at the church. So people that don't have family or don't have anyone to be with on that holiday can have people to be around and interact with.
So what kind of discipline goes into the business of acting, and how do you go from your first paid gig to your next paid gig?
The discipline in acting really comes from just staying on top of it and staying motivated, because you have to constantly, when you're not represented by an agent, you have to constantly be out seeking work. So whether it's browsing through your Facebook groups or looking through Cast It Network or Actors Access or whatever you're doing, you just have to keep it up, and you have to keep going to auditions no matter what, whether you're getting told yes or no. And there's a lot of no's because you're not right for every part. But it's really just comes down to discipline and hard work, and just keep trying. That's as far as like staying in the business. And then the other things like managing, if you're an LLC or not, managing your taxes, just doing the research and finding out what needs to go into that.
Yeah, because being an actor, if you're not like signed to a large agency, is like being an independent contractor or something like that. And do you have a manager,
No.
talent manager?
I don't have a talent manager. No.
Okay.
No, my agent's the only thing I have in this industry, and she's great.
Gotcha. And so she'll help you with a lot of the gigs, but particularly there's other roles in the entertainment industry that there's more like headhunters or people who go out there and search, and kind of like the music industry and whatnot. But talk about what's the auditioning process for something like a gig or a role or something like that, and how do you get started? What is it like?
So auditions can go really like one of two ways. First, there's the in-person audition where they say, hey, you need to be at this location at a certain time. And then they usually, hopefully you'll get, a set of sides, like a mini script beforehand that you can practice, but sometimes they'll just give them to you there when you get into the room, and you'll have to do like a cold read. But really it can be intimidating, I think, is the biggest thing, because you go and you walk in front of a bunch of strangers that you have no idea who they are usually. And then you have to put on a performance, whether it's practiced or impromptu. You never really know what they're looking for. So that's really kind of like my process. Is I always try and read the script. Like when I get an email from my agent, I read every little bit of that email, because if there are other sides attached, that can be helpful. If there's like a description attached, that can be helpful, because you really need to try and figure out what the people in the room are looking for. But you also need to know what you can do. So if I think it's always better to just like kind of have an idea of what they're looking for, but work within your own bounds, like work within who you are to make that part fit for you, not try and make it fit for them, but fit for you. And whether it goes over well or if it doesn't, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
You can't be everything.
Yeah. So what's one of your worst and your best experiences while auditioning for a role?
Best experience, I did an on-camera audition. That's the other type of audition where you put yourself on camera using your own equipment, whether it's a phone or like I have a Sony a6300 that I use. Then they usually send you the slides and you have to read it on camera. Best experience, I did one recently that my agent just loved because I know a little bit of videography, I know a little bit of lighting, I know a little bit how to do color correction and editing, and that really gave my audition like a next level type look. So, and I got huge compliments from my agent for that, and I ended up booking that gig, so that was fun. So that was a really great moment for me. Worst moment in an audition, and I think this is the worst moment for everybody in an audition, is, all right, thank you, I think we've seen all we need to see. Have a nice day.
Do you I think I heard someone talking about this either before. Did you walk into the room and did you even get to read any lines, or was it just like your look that they were looking for a certain look?
Well, it's hard to say, because sometimes you can tell, like, immediately when you walk in the room, they look at you and they go, no. But if you put on a good performance, maybe they'll go, maybe. Yeah. So you should always give 100% no matter what. But usually they'll let you read regardless of what they think, just to see what's going on. I think that's the hardest part, though, is when you go in, you give 100% and you think, hey, I actually did pretty well. And then they don't ask you for follow-up, they don't give you a redirect, and they're just like, okay, thanks, bye. And sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's really bad. And the worst part is you never know until they either call you for callback or they never contact you again.
Yeah. When I was a kid and I did theater, I did various different kinds of auditions, but some of the ones that were more intimidating were the ones that a lot of people were in the room, though equally one person being in the room. I don't know, what are some of your experiences? Have they mostly been like a lot of people, or just like one person in the auditioning room?
For the most part, it's usually like 2 or 3 people.
Oh, okay.
So it's usually like 2 or 3 people at the table. So usually there's the casting director, there's the director, and the reader. Because I've mostly gone for small gigs. Like, I'm by no means like super professional actor.
Right.
And then there's usually like a camera guy and maybe a sound guy, or maybe sometimes the camera guy and sound guy are one and the same. So that's usually about what's in there for me. I've heard that bigger auditions can sometimes have more people in the room. Like, sometimes they have almost like a full crew in there. But for the most part, I think they try and keep it down to like 4 or 5 people at the max.
Like principal actors maybe, or somebody that, key team members, depending upon how big the production is, or what the budget's like. So did you land your opportunity with the agency because of your experience, or what? How does someone even prove to an agency that they're someone that they can work with, a good client?
So it's really hard, because agents see thousands of people every year that come across their desk, and fortunately for me, when I signed with my first agency, I feel like they were just looking for people, especially people with my look. I'm ethnically ambiguous is the term that people keep using, because I kind of look like everybody. But I think that's why I landed my first agent. But as I said, they didn't work out. My current agent, I had the opportunity to meet at a small event in Denver that I almost didn't go to. But
oh, really?
Steve invited me to this event, and it was put on by the Women in Film in Colorado, and it was maybe like 40 or 50 people, but it was really good because I met some really great people there, and one of whom was my agent. They invited all the talent agents and casting agents from Denver to come down and be a part of this conference, and they were doing headshot reviews, which was a super like, you don't see that, I don't feel like, very often, and it was super helpful. So and I'm pretty shy, actually. So approaching them was really hard, but I managed to do it, and I got my headshots critiqued, and I guess I just made an impression by being polite and by being kind and by being someone that looked like they were super interested in what they were doing and being genuine. So that worked out, because that's my character, that worked out really well for me. And my agent just happened to really like my genuineness, I guess is what she said when I got a chance to meet with her. And she invited me to come and speak to me about representation opportunities. And then she did want to see my resume and make sure that I was a professional. And she asked for my video reel, which I should have one, but I'm in the process of making a new one. So I didn't have one at the time, but I was able to show her some of my work, and she thought that was good enough to represent me.
Yeah, I tackle with that the video reel stuff because I have no idea what I want to put into a video reel, depending upon what the opportunity is. Obviously, What do you think is an advantage as an actor to get to a place where you can land a reoccurring role?
That would probably be a better question for someone who's landed a reoccurring role.
I mean, you always gotta aspire.
I'd say just being genuine and being yourself, because the thing about, I feel like, getting cast, especially in like a reoccurring role or in a major role, is that you have to be the right choice for the role. I mean, you look at any of like the roles that really stand out, like Johnny Depp's Jack Sparrow, or Chris Evans Captain America, Chris Hemsworth Thor. I know I just pretty much named superheroes, but
we're getting to that.
Can you imagine anyone else filling the role? No, and I think that their personalities, as people, kind of tend to match that sometimes, or oftentimes, I should say. Who's as eccentric as Johnny Depp, and Chris Evans seems like a really genuine person. You have to kind of bring the best parts of yourself to any audition, to any role that you're trying out for. So,
right. Yeah. So that was what I was about to get into, is that you're a big fan of Nightwing, and and you're I feel like that would be something that you would definitely want to do maybe multiple times, and with the clearly superheroes are a large ROI in the entertainment industry right now for producers and distributors. What does it take to get something like that? Have you looked into like what it takes to get into a role like that, and what would you have to? What is it that some of your colleagues, like the Flash or whatnot, how did they get to becoming that? And then, you know what I mean?
Well, so like from all of my research, you really have to be. You have to be known, you have to be in the right place, and you have to be like a right fit. Like I can't really speak to all the TV shows, but like the ones that I know, like Flash, Grant Gustin, I guess the producer for Flash had seen Grant Gustin in what was it called, Glee, just they had really liked his look, and they liked everything about him. And when I think he auditioned for the role, and when they saw him, they said, hey, this is the guy that we want to play this character, because they had a certain idea of what the Flash was going to be to them. They had the character a certain way in their head, and they said, this is our guy. And they just happened to write a really great show around him and give him the tools that he needed to make a great character. But on top of that, he is just, I'm sure he's just like that. He seems like a really fun guy. He fits the character profile. Tom Holland's Spider-Man, man, I can't even imagine anyone better to play that role. And I know there are a lot of people out there who are like, oh, they like Tobey Maguire, or hey, they like Andrew Garfield. And I agree, they were both very good for their parts. Tobey Maguire was a great Peter Parker. Andrew Garfield was an amazing Spider-Man. No pun intended. But Tom Holland plays both parts really well. He is equally as goofy as Peter Parker, and then is just a great Spider-Man as well. And I know that he auditioned and had to go through many rounds of auditions to get his role, but the fact that he kind of embodied the spirit of the character and had the physical capabilities to kind of be Spider-Man, I think that all lends itself well to getting cast in that kind of role.
Yeah, I agree, and I kind of wonder how characters like Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds kind of got the opportunity of playing him twice, right?
Right.
Through the X-Men originally, and then he went off and he did the Green Lantern, and then disassociated with the Green Lantern and went and did the Deadpool, and was asked to do the Green Lantern again, but was told he said that he wanted to go with Deadpool. So what is it? I mean, how much can someone? I mean, isn't it that Ben Affleck is not going to play the Batman again? So what is like? How long can you be a superhero? I mean, obviously, like Flash Gordon, the original, or not the original Flash Gordon, but one of the original Flash Gordons. What's his name? I forgot his name. But the bigger guy that looks like David Hasselhoff, that was in Ted too. But that guy, he's always gonna be Flash Gordon because he's continually going through the Comic-Con, the stretch of Comic-Cons to re-promote the character, right? So like the opportunities in the comic world are great. So like if you ever do get the chance to be Nightwing, you get to play the television show or the movie, depending upon what it is, short film, whatever, and then you can just go on a world tour of Comic-Cons, portraying the character for people and fans of the character, and it's one of the greatest gigs in acting, I think, at this time. That, and then obviously like the Riverdales and the Netflix specials like Stranger Things or whatever, the cult classic type of stuff that you can repeatedly go to conventions and sign autographs and whatnot. But if you're something like Chris Pratt with the Jurassic Park, you don't necessarily get that kind of opportunity. It doesn't translate as much to these Comic-Cons, whereas his Guardians of the Galaxy, he's able to go in there and do. So like, I guess this kind of goes back to taking it away from like the acting role that you have to have, which was an advantage for you to get the opportunity at the agency, is that you're multifaceted, or you've learned other skills outside of acting, like videography, sound, lighting, directing, producing, some sort of other aspect in the industry to elevate. Like, what do you think? Like, what's a good step? I mean, I've talked to a lot of actors who are struggling, frustrated, and also in the music industry, frustrated because they're dedicated to the art, but they aren't ready to do something like you would do. Put the camera on themselves, create their own series, do their own documentation, get on podcasts like this, or go to meetups. So it's like, how do you get over that that nerves, those first things and get the ball rolling? What is it like? I don't know if you could explain it.
Sure. I mean, as far as the nerves go, that's everybody. I mean, there's maybe like 1 in 10 people that are like, they get in front of the camera, that's just where they live. They don't care. They have no nerves whatsoever. They'll do anything. And that's a good thing, but I mean, it's not always a good thing. I'd say, like, as far as what you're getting at, if you can't just live and breathe just to act, and it's, don't get me wrong, I love acting, I think it's great, but in order to be a versatile actor and even just a versatile person, you have to have experience, and that's just not just acting experience, but life experience. So one of the things that gives me an edge up is, if I need to play certain part and I have experience doing something like that in my life, like being homeless or living out of your car, I've done that. I know what it's like. So that would probably give me an edge up if I wanted to like play a homeless guy. That's not super glamorous, but it's something that I've done. It's something I've experienced. And I'm not saying anyone should go out and be homeless. Like it's rough. It sucks. But just that kind of thing. Go out and have a hobby that you enjoy. Like the martial arts thing. I love martial arts. It's something that I can't go without in my life because I just love to do it. And it's not because I want to be a badass or anything. It's just because I like both the development of myself, my discipline, and my concentration. And I do like the competitive aspect of it. I like to get in there and test my skills. I think things like that, or if you really love music, just continue to play music. And if you're going to be in a band, great, develop your band. But, have hobbies outside of that make you interesting, give you experience, stuff to write about, stuff to make songs about. And it's the same with acting. Just life experience in general is what I would say is the most important for getting past that. And as far as, just having that fear, like if you're a shy person like me, I'm considered outgoing by a lot of my friends, but a lot of my friends are like super introverts. I would say it's just a matter of it's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be anxious and to be afraid. But if you have a goal in mind, you'll push past it. Like if you really want something bad enough, you'll push past it. I think it was Arnold Schwarzenegger said, he said, don't have a plan B, don't have a safety net. Because if you don't have a safety net, you have to succeed. So that's kind of how I'm trying to live my life right now is I don't have a plan B anymore. I used to have like all these things like, well, if acting doesn't work out, I'm going to do this. If acting doesn't work out, I'm going to do that. I don't do that anymore. Now I'm just like, this is what I'm going to do. And whether I'm super successful or whether I'm just, minorly successful, this is where I want to be. Like I want to be in this business. So that's what I'm doing. What are some of the good tools that you are using to kind of promote yourself and get yourself out there? Myself is the best tool. A lot of people say that social media is a great way to do that, and I can kind of agree to that. But the fact of the matter is, I'm still in Colorado, which has not got a huge film industry. So the best thing that I can do is with social media, instead of just posting about my life and posting about my auditions and my success, I get involved, in the communities. Like I want to talk to people about their experiences, and so sometimes I'll reach out to random people like, hey, I saw you were in this film, or I saw you on YouTube. How was that? What was that like? And that's, you build relationships. Really, it's about building relationships in this industry. Yeah. You're not going to make it if you can't work well, play well, and interact with other people. Are you working on anything new now? Or are you writing a screenplay or doing any work like that? I am a terrible writer. I'm not going to lie. There are a couple of shorts that I'm working on with some of my friends that we would love to do. I'm helping out on my friend Wes Clark is doing a short called Riddle Me This, which is really cool. It's a fan film about the Riddler, and I guess he got some attention from Warner Bros. For it, and it's been good so far. So we're filming that over the next month, and check it out when it's done. Cool.
We got a little glitch going. Hold on.
That's okay.
Every once in a while, my audio gets desynced with my video, but so I have to fix that. Wow, and I kind of wanted to give the listeners like a full comprehension of what you've got going on, and I'd like to keep you as like a reoccurring guest as much as I can on this show. This show is really about my journey as a filmmaker. I'm kind of bridging the gap between gaming and esports, music, filmmaking, sure. Podcasting. I'm kind of trying to do different things and seeing how it works. I've learned a lot about social media. You talked about it just there a minute, when I was in Colorado Springs, I worked for KRDO, the CBS or the ABC affiliate, doing digital marketing and advertising for a bit. It wasn't really a good fit for me socially. Really, I was like a lot younger than everybody else. So then went and moved. I tried to do the Lyft thing. Did the Lyft thing for a while. That built my network up. Not really my network, but my comprehension of networking to another level, because you're kind of thrown into a room, your car environment with strangers, and you have to learn how to communicate with people when the cards aren't always on your table. You know what I mean? And you may be playing with a deck that is rigged, and you gotta do your best to make sure that the other people are happy while you're the meantime while you're interacting with them. And that kind of got me into a point where I was more comfortable and getting out of my shell and going to these meetups and whatnot like that, going to conferences, going to industry events and having conversation. But a lot of these events are put on people who are socially awkward, but they might have access to a lot of money or something like that to put the event on. So then you're like you got this awkward person who's throwing this event, and you're trying to communicate with them, and they're building their thing up, and you're building your thing up off a bootstrap or whatever it may be, or you're fresh into the industry, you don't have a lot of experience, and you're looking for that first opportunity. Like you said, it's half life experience as half being there, and so starting this podcast to kind of just document my experience in the things that I get to do. And I don't know, I also haven't been writing screenplay. I haven't written on a screenplay in quite some time. It is one of those things that for me gets to be like constantly not contradicting, but going over and over and over again, and being super highly critical of myself. Whereas like I feel like if I go live, then like it's out, and there's no like you can't take it back. You gotta live with it, right? That was one of the things I was gonna say. Like, what do you do if you get into like you talked about being homeless. That's a tough thing to overcome. But recently Liam Neeson said some things that were a little bit off color, and now he's having to, I mean, he definitely he fights the fact that he's from another country, and he's speaking a language that he's not native in, and like there's just, for people who are getting into anything new, and like whether that's you sat in a cubicle, you were doing some sort of accounting, you were a coder or something like that, and you're like ready to just completely change your industry and go do acting or videography or event production or something, within the entertainment business, or even if you have this wild idea that you're going to create some sort of industry changing product that does some woolly woo, or like something that nobody knows about, there's gonna be risk. There's gonna be the point at which you get a lot of public scrutiny, and you get into the point where you're like, how do you deal with people looking at you and judging you, and not get
discouraged?
Discouraged, right? Discouraged with keep going, to keep going. What are some of those things? Like, is there some sort of mantra, some sort of like like thing that keeps you going?
Like, and it was the same for me. Like, I was in another industry before this, and for me it was just I couldn't make it work. Like I really wanted to do one thing, and no matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't make it work. And I did everything that you were supposed to do. But the nice thing about that was that over time, the more I learned about it, the more time I spent at it, the more I realized that I really didn't want to do it. I was doing it because I thought, this is what I need to do to survive. This would be a kind of interesting career. And I thought, at least it'll be something worthwhile. I had all these things built up in my head about why I wanted to do this. It was financially secure. And I was like, sure, it wasn't going to make me big bucks. It wasn't going to make me rich. It was kind of interesting, looking back, when I was interested in it for a while, but after a while I just realized that I just didn't want to do it anymore. It was too much. There wasn't enough of me in the job, I guess.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect to take up acting at all. 0%.
It's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
It's a lot of responsibility, and I feel like the word that I was thinking off the top of my head was you get to put skin in the game. You know what I mean? You may be gambling a lot, but you're putting the skin in the game, and the returns that you get are just that much more satisfying and great because it's it's everything that you put into it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like you have to find something that you personally care about. Like I was saying before, like you have to have a goal in mind. My goal is to play Nightwing, and whether I achieve that goal or not is really going to depend on how much work I can put into it, if I can meet the right people, if I can be in the right area. And I know but I have my goals. I want to learn more acrobatic stuff. I might know martial arts, but I don't know anything about acrobatics. So I'm doing my best to learn that right now. And it's hard. And I'm terrified of acrobatics. Like, it's a great way to get injured, especially when you're my age, when you're 32, and you haven't done it before. So it's scary. But that's, you make a plan, you set a goal, and then you chase that goal with everything you've got. Like I said, I didn't expect to be here, but it's where I'm at now. And I'm not rich financially, but I do enjoy life more. I wasn't happy
crazy
before.
though? You know what's crazy is that the number one fear is public speaking. Second is death. So it's like of course it's scary. You know what I mean? Because everybody knows that. I don't know where. I have no idea why musicians, actors, politicians, whoever, speaks to the public or portrays an image into the public, how in the world they get so crazy to take on the number one fear of humanity, but they're willing to go at it, head first, and the rewards are great, but the lows are low. Like, there are a lot of lows, and but, like you were saying, you get to a point, and I never experienced this, but maybe someone who can relate to you. You get to a point in a certain place where you've reached the peak of what will happen in your mind. You know what I mean? What the options or the avenues for achieving greater success will be, and it always it appears, and in many cases is that in these more independent businesses or working commercially on film or whatever, that there's no cap to how successful you can be. But in a cubicle environment, there's like there's a point at which you hit the board or the CEOs or whatever, and then there's that person you may never lived up to. You could never create within that environment what you can create for yourself in an environment that you have skin in the game.
Well, some people, and see, that's like some people. So I have a day job like every actor that isn't famous, and maybe even some that are. I work for an advertising company right now. I work remotely. They're actually based out of Austin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Who are they?
They're called Canopy Management.
I think I've seen some stuff downtown. I'm not sure where they are though.
Yeah, they do Amazon advertising.
Oh, nice.
They help Amazon sellers with their like ad campaigns and stuff, and it's a really cool business. And here's why: as much passion as I have for acting, and you have for videography and for podcasting and the things that we do, the guys that started this company, they're all about business. They put their skin out there all the time. They're out there, making deals and talking to people and growing their business, and they love it. And it's a very infectious attitude, and that's why I like working for them. And that's, I think you can find your passion no matter where you are. You just have to find that thing that you care about. Some people really enjoy sales. Some people really enjoy marketing. Some people really enjoy human resources. I don't know, man. Like, it's crazy the various types of people out there. Like, acting isn't for everybody. Being in a band or being a musician or a videographer isn't for everybody. Sometimes you're just like a logical person. Like programming. I have a friend that loves programming. He thinks it's for him, it's the most creative you can be because, he's constantly working on new code. And when there's a problem, he loves to find creative solutions around it. And I don't understand any of that stuff. Like, I don't do coding at all. It's it's crazy to me that people can do it. I think that just finding your passion in life, and I think I was recently listening to a commencement speech given by Jim Carrey, like last year or the year before or something like that.
Oh, nice.
And one of the things that he said that really stuck with me is that you can fail at things that you don't like. Like, you can fail at things that you think you're supposed to do or think you need to do, but ultimately that you don't like. So why wouldn't you take a chance and fail on something that you do like? And that's, I think that's the advice I'm trying to live by right now is like, I might fail at being an actor. I sure as heck don't want to, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that I don't. But, I would rather fail at being an actor than spend, my whole life locked in a cubicle. But that's for me. Some people may never want to do that, and that's okay.
Yeah, because it's scary, and there's a huge risk, and you have to wear a lot of hats. What kind of freedom does this other day job allot you? Because my day job, I just did a podcast about this, a solo podcast. I do all those new last mile delivery services. And I'm trying to build a business out of that. I don't have a lot of capital or anything like that, and so I'm using the capital that I had when I was working regular 9-to-5 type jobs into this new work as you go. When you clock in, do your work, whatever you do, independent contractor work for various different outlets, and so I'm trying to build a different sort of business, but I keep on hearing new things, right? Keep on hearing new things. Like there's this new way to do, like the lime scooter juicing, or like all these entrepreneurial ideas. How much entrepreneurial ideas does your job offer you, and what is it that makes you able to keep doing that?
So I'm pretty new to the company. I've only been with them 3 weeks or so.
Cool.
And I'm part of the HR department, and part of what appeals to me about it, it's remote, which is nice, so I get to work from home. I'm an independent contractor, so I make my own hours, which is great. The only thing that they require of me is that I have to meet hiring goals, and that's great, because I love meeting new people. Like every chance every time I meet somebody, it's an opportunity for success for them or for me, either in my day job or personal life, whatever. So there's always an opportunity there when you're meeting new people, and I think that's what really that's why I get out of bed in the morning to go to this job is I love to meet new people, and this company is just, they're full of great great people. The guys that started it are awesome. The people I work with on the daily are amazing. And I think that's the big thing for me is I like a company that recognizes hard work, that has this like collaborative spirit. They put their people first. They put their business partners first, you know. And I think that they're just the way they handle their day-to-day stuff is the coolest. So
what would you say to someone who's like stuck in something that they just, you know, you felt it before, you know, like it's just like one of those like it's I can only kind of relate it to whenever I was playing sports, because I never felt like you know, waking up and just being like, I dread going to work, you know, I dread going to this because the people there may be a certain type of way, maybe the office space is a certain type of way, but that you're in a negative they're in a negative and emotional state, and it just by going to work, it increases it. What is something that they can do? Like, can you give them some motivation to get through the day, to get to the next step, or even like, how did you go about finding this opportunity that, you know, kind of saved you from the drear of what you were dealing with before?
So before this, I was working in another kind of like, this is a nice startup company, and they're transitioning into like into an actual company phase, which is kind of cool. So we're getting to build the company together, which is nice. Before that, I was working at a slightly more established company, and before that, I was stuck in the security industry for 5 years. That was the worst, because I thought it's a good job, good hours, decent pay. You know, maybe I can work my way up through the company. There's always that little bit of hope that, like, when you work a crappy job, that you think that you're gonna make it to the top of whatever, you know, whether it's you're going to be the general manager or you're going to be this or that. But I'd say for people out there who seriously dislike what they're doing, just remember that, like, all the excuses that you can make for yourself about why you're there, like, and why you think you have to stay there, you're in control. You're in control of your own life. And it's super difficult to make the time after you come home from a job that you hate and go, I need to find something new. I need to find something better. You know, I need to sit down, work on my resume, make a cover letter for each individual job that I'm going to apply to. But just, you know, not to sound cliche, but just do it, because no one's going to help you out of it. There isn't a magic pill. There isn't going to be some magic opportunity that just gets presented to you. You have to make your life happen. So just get out there and do it. You know, if you're not happy with your job, don't stay. You don't have to stay. There are other opportunities out there in either the same career field or a different career field. You just have to find it. Like, you have to actively put the effort in to find it. And that is the worst part. It's like the same as going to the gym every day. You have to put the effort in. If you put the effort in, it's amazing what you can accomplish. You know, imagine you spend an hour a day just applying to jobs. How many jobs can you apply to in an hour? How many jobs does that make in 365 days? What are your odds of getting hired at a better company? You know, and don't just stay at the next company. If the next company doesn't work out, it's okay to move on. We're in that kind of, like, it's not like it used to be where you can, like, you stay at a job for 20 years and the longevity gets you a promotion or moves you up the chain. Companies aren't working like that anymore. They're all about bigger, better, faster. You know, so if you can't keep up, they're gonna cut you, and you're never gonna go anywhere, or they're gonna keep you where you are. Don't work for mediocre people. You know, get out there and find those people who are willing to pay you what you're worth, and a place that you feel you can provide a service at, like a place that you feel comfortable, and a place that you want to be there every day. You know, a place that you get up and go, I can't wait to go to work. It's so hard to find, and I'm not trying to downplay how hard it is to find that, but you don't have to, like, I think people just don't realize, like, you don't have to stay at jobs you don't like. I know people all the time that, like, the best way that they found opportunities are just by, like, saying, okay, I'm gonna try this. No, this doesn't work out, I'm gonna try that. This doesn't work out, I'm gonna try that. And you can go overboard with it where you've just done too many random things. But if you find, I would say, first find something that you like to do, and then find a place you like to do it at.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people, I feel like this is a big conversation that people are having, is a lot of people are sitting in dead-end jobs, you know, on their, whether it's in the restaurant business or security or any of these kind of like, I don't know what you call them, like entry-level business, level jobs. You weren't working at an entry level with the security, but you started there and you worked your way up. But I feel like a lot of people are in these, and they're just like they're looking at social media like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, and they're seeing these people living their, you know, quote unquote hashtag living their best life. You know what I mean? And it's just like all these photos of, you know, all the good things in someone's life, and that's something that I'm trying not to do with my podcast and my platform. Is like, I have struggles, right? And maybe it is something that limits, and this is what I kind of find a negative. If there are HR people out there that can look at this and be like, look, this is something that HR really needs to fix, is that there are companies out there that negatively look at the time someone has spent with a company. So like, let's say for me, like, I haven't been working for quote unquote a real business for a long time, and even before, when I was doing that, I was doing seasonal work, I was doing, you know, shift work, you know, working in restaurants or whatnot. So like, for someone like myself, or for the person who gets laid off for a long time and hasn't gotten their engine started again, like, they're just, you know, I feel like there's just this, I mean, unemployment's a big issue, but I just don't know how the environment for this old mentality of you got to be at a place for 20 years, and then if you get laid off from there, you know, you're screwed for the rest of your life. Or if you've only worked someplace for 2 years, 3 months, 4, 6, and it looks like you're jumping around or whatever, the people in HR aren't really looking at the full picture. So like, for me, there's a lot of stuff out there on the internet. You know, some things that I'm extremely proud of, and some things that I kind of I wish I'd done them a different way, or I wish I had put more time into the thought of sending this tweet or this photo or that thing. And I think, like, I'm complaining about it now for me, but the generation to come up, it's far worse. Like, they've been living their lives posting, you know, this picture of this spaghetti they made that looks like it's burnt, or, you know, or whatever, and that's a negative reflection because they go and say, I want to be a restaurant owner, or I want to do this, or I want to do that, and then, or I want to work in the restaurant industry, but then their employer's looking at them and looking at their spaghetti that's next to roaches, or, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so much that's going on in the world now that it's like, I feel like I'm in a good place. I'm gonna put everything out there. I'm also like on the I guess the end of where the beginning, you know, 93, 90 was like the beginning of where social media, forums, AIM, all these things started to become like a thing, whereas before that wasn't that much.
And just as like someone who works in HR, like I have to say, like, you do have to be aware of some things. Like, you can't just, if you want to be a restaurateur or you want to be a cook or a chef or whatever, don't show yourself making spaghetti next to roaches. Like, that's just common sense. Like, if you burn spaghetti, which I'm not even sure how you do, but I'm sure it's been done. Like, if you burn spaghetti and you say, all right, I'm practicing, and you show all the times that you failed, and then you also show your success, that's different. Like, that's like, you show that you've got that try hard, no quit attitude, and that you can learn, you can grow. But like, you know, you have to have common sense when you're posting on social media. And as someone who like works in HR, I have to always remember, this is the highlight reel. this is their best self. Usually people don't like to put their worst self on the internet.
Yeah.
So there's no real substitute. Like I can look at someone's social media and, kind of be like, oh, they like this or they like that. But I try not to make some assumptions about who they are until I've had a chance to like speak with them. And even then I try not to make assumptions. I try to ask involved questions and find out who that person is, because like I was saying before, yes, you're in control of some of the stuff. And if you're in control of your life, and if you don't like your job, quit, move on to the next one. But you do have to build skills first. Like you do have to build the skills. Like no one's going to hire me to play Nightwing right now because my resume does not look like someone who could hold his own on a Hollywood set. And I get that. I totally understand that. If someone were to take a chance on me, I would love it. But I'm still building my skills. I want to be able to make that performance good. I want it to be, I want to be experienced enough to handle my own on like a Hollywood set. But and it's the same when you're going for a new job. If you're looking to get into another industry, sometimes you're going to have to start at the bottom again. But then you have to think about, is it worth it? Like, is this in my life? For me, it's not about the money. I can live off of a very small budget because it's just me and my wife, and that's how we've decided to live our lives. Like obviously other people have other responsibilities that keep them working much higher paying jobs. But if you want to start over, you can plan for it. You can make strides towards it, even if you're taking classes in the evening or what.
It's just when there, like you said, like what is holding someone back from achieving their dreams, and in many cases it's a bad romance situation, and you brought up romance, so then I was just laughing and I was thinking like, God, there's so much that goes to it. And earlier I was thinking of that with your Nightwing, you wanting to act and portray Nightwing at a high level. What does that? I mean, that means that there's a high budget. There's the ability to do After Effects and so much that you can't do in a small studio. Whether that's on location shooting, if you're have to be in New York, or if I don't know much about the character if he goes overseas, or if there's any sort of other aspect to it. But I think things are changing to where like fan created content is kind of slowly, the producers of fan created content slowly become the Hollywood. You know what I mean? It's like depiction. One actor may portray it. I mean, you only have, not to be rude or anything, you only have so long to be the character, right? Unless you're doing something like Logan or something like that, playing the older version of the hero or the villain or whatever it may be in the comic world. I can't really associate that with anything other than that, unless you're talking about like Happy Days or something like that, when they come back.
And you're absolutely right. I have a limited time, which means that I have to work 3 or 4 times as hard to get myself prepared for that. And that's something that I've accepted as part of my goal, and like I spend hours practicing my acting on the daily because it's what I want to do. Like I don't you got to practice whatever you want to be good at. There's no substitute for hard work. None at all, And once again, to quote Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, I mean, he was like, when he was in his 20s, he was working out 4 to 5 hours a day. He was working a job in construction. He was taking acting classes 4 nights a week, all that, in the span of a day, and I have to be at least that dedicated. I'm working on projects. I'm learning videography. I'm learning, I'm working on my script memorization techniques. I'm, working on my on-camera auditions. I'm doing film projects with my friends as often as I can.
Yeah.
Trying to get gigs off of my agent as often as I can. You know, every time she asks me if I'm available, you know, I'm always try to be available, because that's how, you know, you have to show up. That's the other thing. Hard work and showing up. That's the two most important things to being an actor. So yeah, I know I have a limited time, and you know, I've got to catch up to people who have years of head start on me. So that's what I do. I spend more time than I do everything I can to be better.
Mm-hmm. You got a lot of you got a lot of interesting gear in the back, and I'm looking at the stuff like what kind of, see, it's not like a lot of videographers, including myself. I don't always know how to get work, whether that's from a narrative standpoint or if it's commercial work. Do you do any commercial work?
Videography wise?
Hold on. Like I don't know, doing like industrial videos, wedding videography, like things that are not based on screenplays or acting or outside of the entertainment industry.
So I'm new to videography myself. I've been spending a lot of time learning it, but I just got into doing actual video work like a little while ago. I've had the camera for about a year now, but I haven't really done any real work with it. I have now lined up 2 weddings that I'm shooting and a music video. I'm getting paid for 2 of those 3 gigs, which is nice. But for the most part, that was for me. And I have a lot of friends that are videographers. That's a lot of sourcing clients, being, you know, a lot of word of mouth advertising, and just being good at what you do. So that's what I'm going to try and build that on the side, on top of my acting business, because as much as I love my day job, having more freedom as an actor during the day to get out there is super important for me, and being able to support myself and my family is super important for me. Like I said, I can live off of a small budget, but I can't live off of nothing. So, and acting can be expensive, you know, cost of headshots, driving to different locations for auditions. It's rough. And if you're not, and I don't have enough professional work regularly to keep myself going. So I do have to have a day job. I do have to have some source of income, and videography is another thing that I found a passion for. So I do spend a lot of time like going out, like when I'm out hiking, I shoot a video while I'm hiking, and or if I'm gonna walk around downtown, or if I'm gonna go to an event, I just take my camera wherever I go.
Yeah. Man. It's one of the, I can't honestly say how to be consistent in videography unless you work with people. Like, unless you establish a media company with people and you've got a good environment, and to make it consistent with commercial work, because commercial work is so expensive. It's not like narrative filmmaking is expensive and you got to have a budget for certain things, but commercial work is like way more expensive because the image is vastly different, it feels like to me.
So I know the guys that I work with on the regular, and sometimes they'll bring some of us in just for like extra hands on set, but for the most part they work by themselves. Yeah. And it really comes down to just knowing your gear, knowing what kind of things you're gonna be shooting, whether it's an interview or whether it's a wedding or whether it's going to be like a promo video for a coffee shop or whatever. Yeah. You have to know what you're going to bring. You kind of have an idea of what you're going to shoot, and that requires like a lot of prep work, a lot of pre-production. Yeah. And the guys I know, they do it by themselves. They make a living at it. It's not easy work, but it is fun. They do get to set their own hours, and they love it. And that's what they do. I think you don't have to really set up a company to do it. It's when you're starting out, especially like for guys like us. Like I'm doing my first couple of gigs for real cheap. You know, one of my friends said, "Hey, can you shoot my wedding?" And they just happened to see some of the work that I put up on like social media, and some of the things that I've shown them that I keep on my phone. And they said, "Hey, it looks good. Can you shoot my wedding?" And I know it's not going to be as good as some other person they could pay for it right off the bat, but the more experience I get, the better it'll get. And the more I do that kind of stuff, the higher quality I can make it, and the more stuff I can accumulate. Like if I put the money I get from these next couple of gigs back into my equipment, you know, I can keep building myself up as that. And in the meantime, I work a day job. I'll still work the day job and make sure that I keep an income coming in, and just make sure I spend wisely, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to go out and buy a $2,000 lens on credit. You know, I'm just going to keep building it slowly over time. And it's going to take some time for me to establish myself as a videographer. But once I do, and just like I said, like when I shoot like my outdoor stuff, like people are like, oh, hey, that looks good. You know, like, hey, you want to come and shoot this for me? Like my friend was like, hey, you want to shoot a music video for my band that I just put together? Sure. Yeah. Why not?
Man, I tell you what though, all those mistakes you just said, man,
I know, right?
I experienced all of them.
I had some good friends that helped me from doing that.
Yeah, man, I went to college on credit. I bought my car on credit. You know, I'm finally recovering, you know, from all of the mistakes being young and not knowing what credit is, and not understanding finance, not understanding how to be your own accountant. And much of that comes from you know, not working for a company and having to do it all yourself, managing your own taxes, paying your own health insurance, all of that stuff. You know, whenever you're thrown out with the bathwater, you know, in some cases, you know, if you get laid off or the company gets closed down or something like that, it happens. And I can't tell everybody like what the secret sauce is. You know what I mean? Is for me, the secret sauce is doing my own productions, you know, and trying to help people out monetarily or experience wise as much as I can, you know what I mean? Because I've worked for media companies, and I've not been a good fit, or I didn't have the equipment for the job, or you know, the ecosystem didn't work out for me because I didn't want that, or whatever it may be, like whatever the excuse is. But you gotta move forward, and the only person you have to account for is yourself, unless you're in a situation like yourself and you know you've got a partner in life, you know what I mean, with you, with a wife. And for me, being single, you know, it doesn't matter what your gender is, you gotta hustle, you gotta go out there, you gotta network, you gotta make it happen for yourself. No one's gonna make it happen for you, is what I guess what I'm saying. Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. But I think you can make it feel natural to some people. Like when you walk up to them, like you're at a coffee shop or whatever, and you get a chance to meet the manager, and you're just like, hey man, I really like your shop, you know, this, that, or whatever. And then, you know, they're just talking and they're like, oh, hey, what do you do? Like, oh, I do this, but, you know, I also do a little videography on the side. I'm like, hey, would you want me to do like a promo for your company? Here's a little like snippet of here's what I can do, and just show them a little snippet of what you can do. And like, that's how my friend landed his last gig. They were like, oh yeah, that's great. And he's like, yeah, I'll do it for real cheap. And that helps build his, you know, his business. So he can afford to he'll just go out and shoot something, take a day. And if you do it for free, you get to really make all the creative calls. Yeah. So you can make it as good or as bad as you want. And so if you make it really good, the next time you go out and say, hey, you know, can I maybe do a video for you? They're like, yeah, sure. And you're like, okay, here, great. You know, here's my rate, but I'm going to give it to you real discounted. And then, you know, they may have some ideas that you have to work with, but you just kind of keep building it organically like that. It doesn't have to be like, I think, and that's how my friends do it, is like, it's very organic for them. They don't try and go out there and sell themselves, and they don't try and go out there and just like hustle people. And like, I get that that's how a lot of people make a living, and that's fine for some people. It's
so serendipitous though, because like you see on Instagram or whatever, and you see these people just putting together these, you know, crazy productions, right? And you don't know that they're doing that for free or not, but they're doing that. And then, you know, personally, like, my life has never been like that fairy tale-ish thing where it's like
Me neither.
I walked into the place, and like, it was more like I walked into the place, that kind of happened. I show my work, but then like afterward we did it, and we were like, oh man, well we forgot the tripod, so we had to hold it up with a broomstick, or something, or something like that, like, and so like it works out, but you like just scrape it's like by the hair of your chin, like that you get in there and you get it done.
And yeah, and everybody, like, I think when they're starting out has to make those, like, I wanted to go shoot this like music video the first time, and like I showed up and I had all my gear, I forgot my lights, and I was like,
no,
oh, crap, I forgot my lights, and the lighting in the place where we were shooting was awful, and there's nothing I could do about it. I just said, hey guys, I'm gonna have to reschedule, because like they were already playing their sets, and I'm like, well, dang. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's what you do. You keep going, but like the next time you definitely won't forget your lights or your tripod. That's for sure.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Unfortunately, though, like whenever you start out with these startup companies and whatnot, from my experience in startup, is that like maybe the founder or whatnot, they don't have a lot of experience in management. So, they often blame their employees for their own faults. And I remember whenever things like that happened with anybody that I've ever worked with, I was first to blame myself. And I know other founders and owners that do that as well. They're like, oh man, that was my fault. I should have done this, and this. But there are a lot of founders and owners out there, CEOs out there, that are quick to blame their employees for their own faults. You know what I mean? Like not paying the light bill so that they could go out and do coke or or whatever it may be. So then you're out of electricity in your little startup situation, and I've heard some horror stories of startups, but I wouldn't want to do anything else, to be honest, like at this point, because I look at the people who work at like a Coca-Cola or an AT&T, and I get to, like, with my job, the job that I earn my living doing, and I still earn a little bit of money doing video work, but not as much as I do doing delivery services and whatnot, that I get to interact with the people who are in those skyscraper jobs, cubicles, or working for AT&T, working for the local cable company, whatever it may be, and they're just like zonked out of their mind in order to like get through the day. And I never feel like that, because I feel like if I don't pay attention, I'm gonna end up like if I'm zonked, that means that I'm just like having like I'm either sick, but if I'm not, then I'm like at it all the time. Like I've always got some sort of crazy hootenanny going on in my mind, and that's some of the benefits of being on the being on the cutting edge of something new, something transcending, or something that's gonna change the whole world. And I'm not sure what the percentage of the world that gets to experience that is, but if you've got a dream, I'd say chase it. If you wanna be the deep sea fisherman guy that puts does their thing out there, or if you just wanna invent some sort of polycarbonate thing, go out there and do it. I mean, there's a lot of risk though, and when I was I think weird enough, I always thought when I graduated college that I'd just get plugged. I would be more of a cog, and I wrote this down the other night. I feel like more of the machine, less the cog. And I always thought I was going to be a cog and being put into a machine. But unless for us in the entertainment world, if we moved to Hong Kong, New York, Las Vegas, those type of places, Las Vegas, oh my God, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, I guess, but, moved into that ecosystem where that's the main industry, then maybe, but not so much for Denver or Austin. I mean, Austin has its thing,
Right.
but if someone lives in Salt Lake City, Utah, there's not going to be a lot of work, maybe commercial, but not a lot of narrative work, unless the big production studio filming. What's that? The Salt Lake that Netflix show with Ashton Kutcher. It's filmed in Salt Lake, I think. The Ranch.
The
I think
Ranch?
it's called The Ranch. I think it's filmed Wyoming. I think some of it, it's like filmed over in that northwestern area, right? So like for some reason I heard that some of it was filmed in Salt Lake, but
maybe, I don't know.
no, it's cool to be involved, but it's also like, it's a huge risk trying to do it somewhere where the big studios aren't.
It's a struggle, man. Yeah, I get you. I struggle all the time with the fact that I want to play a major role, and being in Colorado, I love Colorado. I love being here where the mountains are, where it's sunshine most of the year, and I even like the freak, like random like snowstorms that we get, like the one we had a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I struggle because it is a huge risk, and it's there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of risk with moving to a place like LA or going to like New York or Atlanta even. But I know that I'm eventually gonna have to make my way there, and as soon as I've built up enough experience, that's my plan. Like I know I have to get out of Colorado, no matter how much I may love it here. I have family and friends here. I have a life here. I know I gotta go. Like it's just it's a matter of making sure I have the experience on my resume to carry over. From at least in film, that's one of the advice that was given by the LA
Isn't that crazy though? Isn't that crazy? Like, I'm crazy for thinking that I can build a resume of video work in a place there's not a lot of video work. You know what I mean? And then you're supposed to take that experience and then go to code pitch your idea, your crazy Houdini idea, to a production studio in Los Angeles, and then they look at you like, wow, you really overworked yourself here. You have
to go where the work is, though. Like, I mean, that's like, I feel like to a degree you can build up a resume, you can build up like a nice reel or show your work in
anywhere.
Any place that you are, anywhere. Yeah. But eventually, to play among the big boys, you have to go where they play.
Yeah.
Like
well, not to say that Denver and Austin aren't like growing in film industries, but they're just not. They're not, like you said, Atlanta, LA, New York. They're just not there, and those places aren't slowing down anytime soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
now I am fortunate because New Mexico is only a 5-hour drive from where I'm at. So like Albuquerque, New Mexico is up and coming. So I'm pretty lucky that because they shoot a lot of Netflix shows down there already, especially after Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and so I'm fortunate that resource is nearby. So I'm hoping that I can move into that market sooner rather than later, and that'll maybe I won't have to move. That would be great.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's like, for instance, like the two studios that are here in Austin are Troublemaker Studios. Two big names are Troublemaker and Rooster Teeth. And when you start talking about that's a horror / in a gaming studio kind of thing. And whenever you talk about like the actual like the film studio, the film studio lot, they don't use it for anything but like it's like the studios aren't like MGM, it's not a production studio lot, a bunch of smaller production companies come there and shoot, right, every once in a while if they're in the area, but I don't know. Denver kind of has its studio lot, but it's not like the staple studio lot for anything. But when you hear about something like, Albuquerque or whatever, that's a staple studio lot for AMC, and so it's vastly different. I mean, Vice does work here. I think Vice also does work in Denver as well. It's just like that's not really narrative. That's documentary stuff, and like I don't know.
I know what you mean. I would love to work for Rooster Teeth though. Like I'm a huge gamer, huge nerd. I was a huge fan of Red vs. Blue when they made it. And I really like the shows they're putting out now in Austin. Yeah. So I'm hoping to go to RTX.
Well, they obviously have a lot of connection with Google and YouTube and whatnot, with what YouTube is doing, and with, I don't know how familiar you are with the Stadia. Have you heard of the Stadia?
Mm-mm.
Google Stadia is this new console. It's like cloud gaming, but it's built on the Google cloud servers, and basically you'll be able to go to like any game you can like search it on Google, and you'll be able to play it instantly right off of their servers.
That's awesome. I know it's been popping up on my YouTube. I haven't had a chance to watch any of the videos about it.
Yeah, it'll get you going. It'll be like, wow, holy crap. I mean, I've been hearing talks about it for a while, since last South by Southwest Gaming, about this not underground, but like these developers that have been contributing to this cloud system, and they were always saying things about it, but I didn't know that Google was gonna put it out like that.
I never even knew it was in production. That's great though, and I'm a huge gamer nerd, so I probably shouldn't spend as much time gaming as I do.
Yeah. What games are you playing right now?
Me, I'm playing a lot of Apex Legends right now.
Are you on PC?
I'm on PlayStation and PC, and I am so bad. I'm the worst. Terrible.
Oh man, I gotta get you right. Hold on. I'm gonna right after this. When we finish up this podcast, I'm gonna let you go in a minute here. I'm gonna get your Apex stuff, and we're gonna get to playing some games.
Let's do it.
I'm on PC though, so it's gonna have to play a PC. I don't have a PlayStation.
My rig is yeah. I think I told you last time we talked that my rig burnt out, so like my PC is like a little slow. So, but I can still play.
No, definitely. I don't have you on Discord, do I?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I do.
Okay, yeah, I'll send you my Discord. I'll get an invite link for you, and then we'll get to playing. I got a couple guys, man. I really like Apex a lot, man.
That's fun.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun, and I haven't played in a while. The game kind of slowed down for me. I love watching it on Twitch and whatnot, but it slowed down for me because I'm just waiting for that thing that thing, and Octane wasn't necessarily the thing for me.
I haven't got a chance to play it yet.
I know that there's gonna be something. There's something coming, and the battle pass stuff. It seems like I think it's iffy for me. But something. There's just. It seems like the ecosystem has something in it that they're just not. They haven't put it out yet. But this is like, you know what I mean.
We'll have to do like a whole separate podcast about games, because like I can sit down and talk for hours about video games. So.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. And I think we talked about a lot, man. It was good to get in that first half. I definitely wanted to, get a good idea of what it's like to be an actor and what it's like to get out there, and then I wanted to talk about like the future and whatnot, and we kind of covered it all. So I appreciate you coming on, and I'll definitely have you back on again. Once again, this is Jeremy Calcote. You want to shout out your social medias, how people can find you, where they can see you?
Yeah, you can find me by my gamer tag on social media, because I'm still not a very professional actor in that regard. You can find me on my gamer tag. It's Talavin, TAHLAVIN, or AVEN on PS4 and on oh my gosh, Origin. So yeah, you guys can look me up. Hit me up if you guys ever want to play. I'm always down for new people. So
awesome. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Trenton. Have a great day, man.
Hold on.